down.
Mr. Chairman, this amendment very simply just states that no federal fund should be authorized by this act for the payment of any liability to the territory or territorial instrumentality. So here's the deal. Mr. Chairman, as you know, this bill, even before it was introduced, was alleged to have been categorized as a bailout. Look, let's be clear. In the future, there could be an effort to directly bail out the territory. That's not what this legislation does. It's designed to avert a bailout. And so this provision is designed to make it clear that this legislation does not put federal funds on the table to address the liabilities of the territory. It does not preempt in any way future actions of this Congress or the administration and attempts to directly put federal funds on the table, which I would oppose. But all it does is directly clarify that this bill cannot be labeled as a bailout, and I reserve.
Will the gentleman yield?
Gentleman yield?
For a
question?
Just for a question.
Yeah.
It says no federal funds shall be authorized by this act. What about future funds in, say, a CR or an omnibus? Does this prohibit any federal funding from going to bail out Puerto Rico?
It does not, but let's be clear. This pertains to this bill. The allegation before the bill was even filed, before any of us even read the text, was that this bill was a bailout. And I'm trying to make that crystal clear and prevent that from happening. We're not preventing, and in the future, we could be given an opportunity perhaps to vote up or down on efforts that could be made in the future to directly appropriate funds to bail out.
Will the gentleman yield for further clarification? We've heard from Republican leaders that there would be no taxpayer dollars used to bail out Puerto Rico, and that's what you're trying to do with this, right?
I'm trying to prevent this bill. I'm trying to make it clear that this bill is not a bailout. That this bill does not provide, does not authorize any federal funds. I can't control what people in this room may do in the future, what other members of Congress may offer amendments on in the future, but I want to make it clear that this bill is not a bailout.
Thank you.
Well, the gentleman yield for another question.
Sure.
Unless this has changed, there was going to be thousands and thousands of acres that were owned by the Department of Interior that were being sold, and the money, which would be federal money, from that massive sale was going to be going to Puerto Rico. Would your amendment change? That was pulled. Okay.
I believe that was removed.
All right, thank you.
Can I get an amen, Mr. Chairman? I believe that was removed from, or is not included in this legislation.
You guys know how to go to my heart, don't you? Stab it directly many times. Yeah, that's no longer part of this bill.
Thank you.
Will the gentleman yield for another question?
Yes, sir.
I agree with the intent of it, and I think you're stating a fact that this is not a bailout. But the oversight board itself is a responsibility. Let me just finish, if you would.
Sure.
The oversight board itself is, as I recall, the financial responsibility of the territory, and yet it has to be funded up front, and this could have the unintended consequence of not allowing the supervisory board to do its work.
Thank you. It's a good question. As I recall from reading this, I believe that the text was changed to actually require that that Puerto Rican funds effectively be used to seed and fund the oversight board. And I'm getting a head shake from
I think so.
My good friend, and amen. Now, in previous versions of the bill, it was different, where federal funds did seed the oversight board. This version does not have that. The board is to be paid with territorial funds, effectively.